He bought a ranch for $1, then met the girl living inside? Jack Mercer had never been lucky, not even once. After a string of failed mining contracts on Mars and a few botched freighter jobs in the outer colonies, he found himself wandering the dusty plains of Zeta 9 with little more than a worn-out backpack and a credit chip worth almost nothing. That's when he saw the sign. Ranch for sale, $1. The paint was faded, the letters crooked, and the metal frame was rusted. Jack blinked. $1. It sounded like a joke, but he had learned long ago that life in the outer colonies had no sense of humor. It only had hard choices. He laughed to himself. Could it be worse than my last deal? He muttered. With nothing to lose, he walked up the broken gate and pushed it open. The hinges creaked, but they held. The ranch was small, barely more than a cluster of buildings surrounded by endless orange dust and neon-lit wind turbines that groaned under the planetary wind. The barn leaned to one side, the fence was missing several posts, and the solar panels were either cracked or covered in dust. Yet, despite the decay, Jack felt a strange pull. Something about this place whispered, "Stay a while." Jack wandered through the yard, kicking up the fine dust. His boots clinked against old metal scraps scattered across the ground. The ranch seemed empty, except for the faint hum of machinery buried beneath the surface. He frowned. Zeta 9 was supposed to be a quiet, abandoned outpost, not a hub of secret devices. He approached the barn. Its massive sliding doors sagged on rusty rails. Jack gave it a push. The door groaned but moved, revealing darkness inside. A faint blue glow shimmered in the corners. Jack's heart skipped. He expected rats or a pile of broken equipment, maybe even a stray robot cow, but what he saw made him freeze. A girl, no older than 17, with hair that caught the dim light like strands of silver, stood in the shadows. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, the same color as the lights flickering along her arms. Her stare was direct, unafraid, but curious. "You weren't supposed to see me," she said softly, her voice like a whisper carried by the wind. Jack blinked. I? I'm Jack. "I bought the ranch." She tilted her head. "Bought it? For $1? Her voice held a strange mixture of surprise and amusement. Jack scratched his neck, feeling the heat rise to his ears. "Yeah, I figured, why not?" The girl, Leora, as she finally introduced herself, stepped forward. Her movements were smooth, almost too precise, like she was part machine. Jack noticed the subtle hum that accompanied her steps, faint but rhythmic. He swallowed, unsure if he should be worried or amazed. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "People are looking for me. If they find me," her voice trailed off. She didn't finish the sentence, but Jack understood anyway. On a planet like Zeta 9, someone like her, different, special, wouldn't be safe. Jack forced a smile, trying to appear braver than he felt. "Well, I'm not going anywhere. Looks like we're stuck with each other." For a moment, Leora studied him, her expression unreadable. Then a faint smile curved her lips. It was almost human, almost warm. Jack felt a strange flutter in his chest.
He cleared his throat. "I can start by fixing the place."
"It's a little broken." She nodded. "Mostly. But it's old tech. I could use some help." Jack laughed softly, feeling a spark of hope he hadn't felt in years. Maybe this ranch, this strange, glowing girl, was the start of something different. Maybe, for once, life wasn't just a series of failures and empty credits. The next hours passed quickly. Jack wandered the ranch, poking at old solar panels, dusting off control panels, and occasionally glancing at Leora as she moved gracefully through the barn. She was fascinating, not just her glow, but the way she handled the old machinery as if she understood it better than anyone could. "Watch your step," she said lightly as Jack bent down to inspect a broken irrigation pump. "That one almost electrocuted a delivery drone last week." "That's comforting," Jack replied dryly, earning a small laugh from her. The sound was musical, and Jack realized he hadn't heard anyone laugh like that in months. As night fell, the ranch took on a new life. The wind turbines spun lazily, casting elongated shadows across the dust, and the faint hum of hidden machinery created a strange, peaceful rhythm. Jack sat on the porch, staring at the stars above Zeta. The twin moons hung low, one silver, one faintly green, and for a moment he felt small and alive. Leora joined him silently, her glowing eyes dimmer now, less intimidating, more gentle. You like it here? She asked. Jack shrugged. I don't know yet. It's different. Quiet. But there's something about it. He looked at her, trying not to let his gaze linger too long. I've been on a lot of planets, seen a lot of stars. But this feels like maybe I could stay. She tilted her head, watching him. You could. But I don't think you understand what it means to stay here, with me. People will come looking.
Jack felt a pang of protectedness, sudden and strong.
Then we'll deal with them. Together. He didn't even think about the words before they left his mouth. He only knew it was true. A soft smile appeared on her face. Together, she repeated, almost as if testing the sound of it. For a while, they sat in silence, watching the moons drift across the sky. The air was calm, filled with the subtle smells of dust, metal, and something faintly sweet. Maybe the plants Leora had somehow nurtured in the greenhouse. Jack found himself feeling lighter than he had in years. Here, on a forgotten ranch, on a forgotten planet, he felt home. Then, a faint flicker of light caught Jack's eye. From the edge of the property, a small drone hovered in the darkness, scanning the ranch. It was sleek, black, and carried the insignia of one of the largest tech corporations in the sector. Jack tensed. Leora noticed it instantly. They're coming, she whispered, her glowing eyes flickering brighter. They'll find me if we're not careful. Jack stood, suddenly feeling the weight of the situation. Then we make a plan. I'm not letting anyone hurt you, or take you away. Leora studied him, and for the first time Jack saw a hint of hope in her glowing eyes. You really mean that? She asked softly. Jack nodded. I do. This ranch, this place, I don't know why I feel it, but I think it's meant to be ours, and I'm not letting anyone ruin that. The drone's lights moved closer, probing the darkness. Jack and Leora slipped inside the barn, closing the heavy door behind them. The blue glow of her circuits lit the small space, casting long, dancing shadows across the old wooden beams. For the first time since he arrived, Jack felt like he had a purpose again, not just surviving, not just wandering from failure to failure, but actually protecting something, someone who mattered. And for reasons he didn't fully understand, Leora mattered more than anything. Outside, the wind howled across the orange plains, carrying the soft hum of the turbines and the distant drones' scanning beams. Inside, the barn was quiet, filled only with the glow of Leora and the new warmth Jack felt in his chest. The ranch might have been $1, but what Jack had found here was priceless. And somehow he knew this was only the beginning. The morning light on Zeta 9 was soft, painting the desert plains in shades of orange and gold. Jack woke to the gentle hum of the wind turbines and the quiet whirring of hidden machinery somewhere beneath the barn. The night's encounter with the drone had left him restless. He knew someone, or something, was searching for Leora, and he had a feeling that the simple plan of hiding in the barn wouldn't last long. Jack rubbed his eyes and pushed himself out of the worn cot he had found in one corner of the barn. He looked around for Leora, but she was already up, moving with quiet precision among the barn's equipment. Blue light traced the edges of her arms as she checked old solar panels, adjusted wires, and occasionally tapped at small consoles buried under dust. Morning, Jack said, trying for a casual tone. Leora glanced at him and nodded. Morning. Did you sleep? Jack shrugged, restless. But that's nothing new. You? Sometimes I don't, she said, her glowing eyes soft in the morning sun. Depends on the machines. They don't always sleep. Jack frowned. Sounds exhausting. I'm used to it. I've been here a long time, keeping the ranch alive. Even when no one came. Jack's curiosity got the better of him. You've been here alone? Leora nodded. Mostly. There were visitors once, long ago, but they didn't stay, and I couldn't leave, not without guidance. Jack rubbed the back of his neck. Guidance? What do you mean? I mean, I was created to maintain this ranch, she said, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. I'm not entirely human. I have parts that aren't just me, parts that can be controlled, traced, even deactivated. People are looking for me because of that. He had expected mystery, maybe danger, but not this. A girl. Part human, part machine, alone on a lonely ranch, hunted by unknown forces. And somehow he felt responsible. Somehow, he knew he couldn't just leave. You're safe here, Jack said firmly, at least as long as I'm around. Leora studied him, the soft glow of her eyes flickering. I don't know if safe is possible, but I trust you, Jack, more than anyone else. Jack felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. Trust. The word felt heavy and important. He wasn't sure why it mattered so much, but hearing her say it made him feel needed. After breakfast, a simple meal of rehydrated protein cubes and synthetic coffee, they walked across the dusty yard to inspect the old irrigation system. The ranch was more than it seemed. Beneath the surface of the cracked soil were channels, pumps, and circuits designed to keep the land alive, even in the harshest conditions of Zeta. 9. Leora moved through the system as if it were part of her hands glowing faintly as she touched panels and wires. Jack watched her, fascinated. "You're amazing," he said. She paused and looked at him, a faint blush touching her cheeks. "I just do what I was built to do," she said softly. "Built to do?" Jack asked, a teasing smile forming. Sounds like a fancy way to say super cool ranch keeper. Leora laughed lightly. The sound was soft, musical, and Jack felt his heart skip. He cleared his throat, pretending to adjust a panel, but he couldn't help stealing glances at her as she moved. Their quiet work was interrupted by a sudden flicker of light on the horizon. A small cloud of dust moved in the distance, growing larger. Jack squinted. "Looks like a hover truck. Or maybe more than one." Leora stiffened. "They've found the ranch," she whispered. "We have to move." "Move? Where?" "This is our home." "They'll take me, Jack. They won't care about you." Jack stepped closer. "Then we leave together. There's no me without you." For a moment, Leora's glowing eyes softened. She didn't answer, just nodded slightly. That was enough. Jack felt a surge of determination. He wasn't going to let anyone take her. Not on his watch. They spent the next hour preparing. Leora showed Jack secret panels beneath the barn floor, old tunnels designed for emergencies. She had scavenged supplies from nearby abandoned colonies, energy cells, repair kits, even an old handheld scanner that could detect drones from miles away. Together they moved quietly, the hum of the ranch beneath their feet like a heartbeat guiding them. When the corporate scouts arrived, Jack and Leora were already halfway across the ranch, hidden beneath dust clouds and the shadows of tall wind turbines. The scouts were cautious, scanning every inch with hovering drones, but they didn't see the two figures moving silently through the desert. Jack had never been a hero. He wasn't brave or clever in the way storybooks described. But standing next to Leora, he felt like he could be. He felt a strength he hadn't known he had. He kept glancing at her, making sure she was safe, and noticed how she sometimes looked back, her glowing eyes meeting his with a mix of trust and something else, something soft and new. They reached an abandoned water tower at the edge of the property. Leora led him inside, and they crouched behind the thick metal walls. From their hiding spot, they could see the scouts searching the ranch. Jack's heart pounded. You think they'll find us?" he asked quietly. "They might," Leora admitted. "But they won't know how to get to me here. Not without triggering alarms, and I can slow them down." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Slow them down how?" Leora smiled faintly. "I'll show you, but it's a little tricky. You'll need to trust me." "I trust you." She reached into a hidden panel and pressed a sequence of buttons. The air shifted around them. The scouts' drones flickered, their sensors confused by sudden bursts of interference. Dust rose in unnatural swirls, making it impossible to see the hidden tunnels beneath the ranch. Jack watched, amazed, as Leora moved like a shadow, guiding the machinery with precision and care. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, whispering. "Because someone has to," she said simply. "And because I think you would protect me, even if you didn't fully understand what I am." Jack felt a strange warmth again. Her words weren't just about danger. They were personal. And though he tried to hide it, he felt his chest tighten in a way he hadn't felt in years. Hours passed. The scouts eventually left, frustrated by the invisible tricks and traps Leora had set. Jack and Leora emerged from the water tower, their relief palpable. The desert wind carried the soft hum of turbines, mixing with the distant cries of alien wildlife. Jack looked at Leora. "You're incredible," he said again. She tilted her head, her cheeks faintly glowing. "I'm just trying to survive, like you. Survival is more fun with company." Leora's eyes flickered in the sunlight, and Jack thought he saw a small, shy smile. For the first time, she seemed almost normal. Not just a glowing figure hiding from the world, but Someone who could laugh, feel, and maybe belong. That evening, they returned to the barn. The ranch was quiet again, bathed in the soft light of the twin moons. Jack fixed a small fire pit outside while Leora checked the systems one last time. They sat together, watching the stars. "You think we'll be safe now?" Jack asked. "For a while," Leora replied. "But they'll come back." "They always do." Jack reached for her hand, hesitant but determined.
She didn't pull away.
"Whatever comes next, we face it together." Her glowing eyes met his, brighter now, full of trust and something tender. "Together," she whispered. For a long time they sat in silence, feeling the wind, the hum of the ranch, and the quiet thrill of being alive. The dust-covered plains of Zeta, 9 stretched endlessly around them, filled with secrets, dangers, and possibilities. Jack realized something that night. He hadn't just bought a ranch for $1. He had found someone worth protecting, a partner, and perhaps something even more. And though the future was uncertain, he felt ready to face whatever came next. With Leora by his side, he finally understood that home wasn't just a place, it was a person. The morning sun rose over Zeta, 9, casting the neon-dusted plains in a soft orange glow. Jack and Leora had slept little, their minds restless with worry about the corporate scouts who had come the night before. The ranch was quiet now, but they both knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. Jack stretched and rubbed his eyes. "We can't stay here," he said quietly. "They'll be back, bigger and faster."
We need a plan.
Leora nodded, her blue glow dim but steady. "I've been thinking there's an old hover horse stable north of the ridge. If we can get there, I can guide us across the plains faster than any vehicle they have. They won't catch us, at least not easily." Jack's heart sank. "Plains?" he asked. "You mean out in the open, with no cover?" "Yes," Leora said simply. "It's risky. But it's better than waiting here to be found." Jack considered it. His stomach tightened, but he trusted her. She had already saved them once, with her clever machines and quick thinking. He nodded. "Then let's go." They moved carefully across the dusty ranch, gathering supplies, energy cells, water rations, and a few small tools. Leora led him to a hidden panel beneath the barn floor, revealing a narrow tunnel. "This will get us past the first drones," she said. "It's old, but it still works." Jack followed her into the tunnel, feeling the cool metal walls press close around him. The hum of machinery beneath the ranch sounded like a heartbeat. It was both comforting and tense. Every step brought them closer to freedom, but also closer to danger. After a few minutes, they emerged on the other side of the property, just as the first drones began sweeping over the barn. Jack's pulse quickened, but Leora's calm, glowing presence steadied him. "Stay close," she whispered, and they sprinted across the plains toward the hoverhorse stable. The stable was a relic from the old days of Zeta, 9 rusted, yet surprisingly intact. Hoverhorses, their metal hooves shimmering faintly, lined the stalls. Leora's hands glowed as she tapped control panels to wake the machines. One by one, the hoverhorses lifted their heads, eyes glowing like hers, as if sensing her presence. Jack's jaw dropped. These things are alive?" "In a way," Leora said with a small smile. "They're old, but they remember what it means to run." Jack mounted a sturdy silver hoverhorse while Leora chose a sleek, cobalt blue one. The machines lifted smoothly off the ground, and Jack felt the familiar rush of air across his face. It was like flying, but with the power of a galloping horse. "Hold on tight," Leora called, and they surged forward, leaving the ranch behind. The plains stretched endlessly before them, a mix of orange dust, neon-lit rock formations, and scattered ruins from abandoned mining operations. The corporate scouts had spotted them almost immediately. Hover trucks sped across the dust, sending up clouds that made visibility difficult. Drones zipped overhead, scanning for heat and movement. Jack's heart pounded. He had never been in a chase like this. Yet, beside him, Leora guided her hover horse with grace, weaving through obstacles, and even lifting small dust clouds to hide their trail. "They're fast," Jack shouted over the wind.
Leora's eyes glowed brighter. "We're faster."
"Trust me." Jack took a deep breath and focused, trying to match her confidence. They darted around a jagged rock formation, narrowly avoiding a hovering scout. Dust and sparks flew. Jack felt the thrill of danger mixed with awe. Somehow, amidst the chaos, he realized how much he cared for her, not just as a companion, but as someone who had become central to his life in a matter of hours. The chase stretched for miles. Leora led him across old irrigation canals, through tunnels under collapsed mining rigs, and over ridges that allowed them to leap great distances. The scouts followed relentlessly, but Leora's knowledge of the land and her quick thinking kept them ahead. At one point, a scout truck nearly caught up. Jack could see the glint of metal and the hum of engines as it closed in. Leora tapped her hover horse's control panel, and a burst of dust and sparks shot into the air, confusing the sensors. The truck skidded to a halt, unable to see the two riders. Jack laughed, exhilarated. "You really are incredible." Leora glanced at him, her eyes soft. That's all. No, you're more than that.
You're amazing.
And smart, and I don't know, I think you're brave too. For a moment, Leora's eyes flickered in a way that made Jack's heart skip. She didn't answer, but the faint blush along her glowing cheeks said everything. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the neon plains, Leora guided them toward a narrow canyon. It was a risky shortcut, steep walls, tight curves, but it would give them cover and slow down the scouts. Jack followed her into the canyon, careful not to lose his balance on the hover horse. The canyon walls glowed faintly in the dying sunlight, reflecting off the dust in the air. For a moment it was beautiful, almost peaceful, despite the danger surrounding them. Halfway through, a scout drone appeared above, scanning the canyon. Leora's hover horse whinnied softly, and she tapped the controls again. The drone's sensors were disrupted by a sudden dust cloud, and it spiraled out of control, crashing harmlessly against the canyon wall. Jack stared at her in amazement. "Seriously, you think of everything?" Leora shrugged, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "It's what I do. I have to." The canyon opened up into a wide, open plain. In the distance, Jack could see the silhouette of a derelict space shuttle buried beneath an old silo. His pulse quickened. "Is that?" "Yes," Leora said, her voice tense but excited. "That's our ticket. If we can reach it, we can escape the planet entirely." Jack's heart leapt. Freedom. Safety. And maybe a life together. But the scouts weren't far behind. Their trucks roared across the plains, kicking up dust storms that reduced visibility. Jack and Leora pushed their hover horses faster, leaping over debris, skimming low across abandoned mining pits, and weaving through the rough terrain. At one point, Jack's hover horse stumbled on a broken rock ledge. He nearly lost balance, but Leora reached out, her glowing hand steadying him. "Careful," she shouted. Their eyes met, and Jack felt a rush of warmth. He nodded, holding onto the reins tighter. "Thanks," he said, his voice barely audible over the wind. "You'll be fine," Leora said, her eyes flickering softly. "We're almost there." Its metal hull was worn, but Leora's circuits glowed as she tapped control panels, checking systems, and bringing the old ship to life. The hover horses slowed as they approached. Jack could see the excitement in her eyes, a mixture of relief and determination. "Almost ready," she said. "Once we're inside, we can launch. They won't be able to touch us." Jack dismounted, helping Leora secure the hatch. "I've got your back," he said simply. "I know," she replied, her voice soft, almost shy. Inside the shuttle, the hum of old engines mixed with the soft glow of control panels. Leora guided Jack to the pilot's seat. "You drive. I'll handle navigation and shields." Jack nodded, gripping the controls. He had piloted small ships before, but nothing like this. Yet with Leora beside him, guiding him, he felt a steady confidence. Outside, the scouts had reached the base of the silo. They were close, too close. Jack's pulse raced. "Laura!" activated the shuttle. The engines roared to life, lifting them from the ground. Dust and debris swirled around the silo as they rose, gaining altitude. The scouts shouted into comms, frustrated and helpless. Jack looked at Leora. She was glowing softly, a mixture of relief, triumph, and something tender he couldn't name. "We made it," he said. "Yes," she whispered, her eyes meeting his. "We did." Jack felt a surge of happiness. The chase was over for now, but the bond between them had grown stronger than any danger. They had survived together, trusted each other, and faced fear head-on. And in that moment, he realized he wasn't just protecting her anymore. He cared for her. Deeply. Leora reached out, placing a glowing hand over his. Jack felt the warmth, the electricity of connection, and smiled. "Whatever comes next, we face it together," he said. "Together?" she repeated, echoing his words, a small blush coloring her cheeks. The neon plains of Zeta, 9 fell away beneath them as the shuttle soared higher. Stars stretched endlessly across the sky, and for the first time Jack felt like he was truly free. They had survived the chase, outsmarted their pursuers, and found a way to escape. And though the future remained uncertain, Jack knew one thing for sure. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. Because now, they weren't just a boy who bought a ranch for $1 and a mysterious girl living inside. They were partners, friends, maybe even something more. And nothing, not scouts, drones, or corporate greed, could break that bond. The shuttle hummed quietly as it drifted through the upper atmosphere of Zeta. Outside, the neon plains shrank into a patchwork of orange dust and scattered ruins. Jack Mercer sat at the controls, gripping them tightly, but the tension that had plagued him during the chase slowly began to fade. For the first time in months, he felt a strange mix of relief and hope. Beside him, Leora hovered near the navigation console, her glowing eyes scanning the instruments and the stars beyond the viewport. Her circuits shimmered softly, reflecting her mood, a mix of anticipation and cautious optimism. Jack stole a glance at her. She wasn't just amazing in a mechanical sense. She was alive, vibrant, and now part of his world. "Are we really going to make it?" Jack asked, his voice low, though filled with excitement. "We will. I've calculated the safest course. If we follow this trajectory, we'll leave the system before any pursuit can catch us." He wanted to trust her completely, and he did. He had no choice but to. But more than that, he wanted to. Leora had become his partner, his guide, and someone he could rely on without hesitation. The shuttle lurched slightly as it passed through a patch of high-atmosphere turbulence. Jack held the controls steady, and Leora reached over, her hand brushing his briefly as she adjusted the navigation. Jack felt a warmth spread through him at the contact. It was subtle, a gentle spark in the quiet hum of the shuttle, but he couldn't deny it. "You're calm," Jack said, trying to keep his tone light. "I don't think I could have done this without you." Leora's glow dimmed slightly, a blush he could see even in the soft light. "And I couldn't have done it without you," she said. "You kept me grounded, Jack. You trusted me, even when the world wanted me taken away. That means more than I can say." He wasn't good with words, but he didn't need to be. He squeezed her hand lightly, and for a moment they shared a silence filled with understanding, trust, and something quietly tender that had grown between them. Beyond the viewport, Zeta, 9 grew smaller, fading into the distance as the shuttle moved toward the edge of the planetary system. Jack felt a thrill he had never known before. Freedom wasn't just leaving the scouts behind. It was leaving the past, the failures, and the fear behind. For the first time, he could think about a life filled with possibilities. Leora's hands moved across the console with practiced ease, checking engines, shields, and navigation arrays. "We're entering a safer orbit," she said. "From here, we can chart a course to a nearby habitable planet. Somewhere no one will know us, where we can start fresh." Jack grinned. "Somewhere? Just us?" "Yes," Leora said softly, her eyes meeting his. "Somewhere just us." They spent the next few hours preparing for the jump to hyperspace. Leora explained the calculations to Jack, guiding him step by step. Though the technical jargon was confusing at times, her patience and gentle instruction made it feel almost fun. Jack laughed quietly more than once as he fumbled with the controls, and Leora laughed with him, a sound that filled the shuttle with warmth, chasing away the tension that had clung to them for days. When the final sequence was set, Leora looked at Jack. "Ready?" she asked. Jack took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." The engines roared, the shuttle shuddered, and then with a sudden flash, they jumped into hyperspace. Stars stretched into long streaks, the universe itself seeming to bend around them. Jack gripped the controls tightly, but the fear was gone. Leora's hand found his again, glowing faintly in the soft light of the cockpit, and he felt steady, calm, and alive. Minutes, or maybe hours, passed. Time felt strange in hyperspace. Outside, the stars blurred into streaks of color, and the endless void pressed against the metal hull of the shuttle. Jack finally relaxed, leaning back in his seat. "We did it," he said quietly, almost in disbelief. "We did," Leora confirmed. She turned to face him fully, her circuits glowing brighter now, reflecting the relief and joy in her eyes. "We're safe. For now. And this is just the beginning." Jack smiled, feeling a thrill of happiness he hadn't known for years. "Then let's make it ours," he said simply.
Leora's glow flickered with warmth. "Yes," she said.
"A new life. Somewhere no one can hurt us. Somewhere we can be free." As the shuttle approached the edge of the hyperspace corridor, they entered a region of empty space, calm and quiet. Jack felt a sense of peace he hadn't felt since he first stepped onto Zeta. 9. The neon planes, the dusty wind, the hover horses, and even the danger. They were all behind him now. All that mattered was the future and the person beside him. Hours passed as they navigated toward the habitable planet Leora had identified. Jack marveled at her skills, the precision of her calculations, and the calm confidence she carried. He realized that Leora wasn't just amazing because of her circuits or her glow. She was amazing because she cared, she trusted, and she had chosen him to be part of her life. Finally, the planet appeared on the viewport. A green and blue sphere, alive with oceans and forests, untouched by the greed and dangers of the corporate sector. Jack felt his heart leap. "We made it," he whispered. "Yes," Leora agreed, her voice full of wonder.
We can start over here.
"No one will know us. No one will look for us." Jack laughed softly, leaning back in his seat. "I never thought buying a ranch for $1 would end like this." Leora chuckled. "But I'm glad it did." Jack looked at her, and for the first time, he saw her not just as someone he needed to protect, but as someone he wanted in his life, always. "Leora," he said, his voice steady, "whatever comes next, I want us to face it together, not just as partners in survival, but together." Leora's eyes flickered, glowing softly. She reached out and took his hand. "I'd like that," she said, "more than anything." Jack felt a warmth he hadn't known for years. The universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but here, in this small shuttle with a glowing girl at his side, he felt like he had found something rare and precious. The shuttle descended toward the planet's atmosphere. Jack guided it carefully, with Leora assisting, checking readings and ensuring a smooth landing. The green forests and sparkling rivers stretched beneath them, and the gentle wind of the atmosphere swept across the shuttle's hull as they landed on a small plateau overlooking a quiet valley. Jack exhaled, feeling the tension drain away. The shuttle engines powered down, leaving only the quiet hum of the valley and the soft rustle of alien foliage. He turned to Leora. "We made it. Home." "Yes," she said, her glow reflecting the soft sunlight. "Home." They stepped out together, Jack leading their hover horses down the plateau and Leora following. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of plants and water. Jack felt his boots sink slightly into the soft soil, and he laughed softly. "Feels right," he said. Leora smiled, her eyes shining with a mix of relief and excitement. "It does. Now we can make it ours. Build a life here. I can't think of anyone I'd rather do that with." Leora's circuits flickered, her cheeks glowing faintly. "Neither can I." They walked together across the plateau, side by side. The danger, the fear, the chase, they were all behind them. Ahead lay endless possibilities, a new planet, a new life, and a bond forged through trust, adventure, and courage. Jack realized that the $1 he had spent on a broken ranch had led him to something far greater than he could have imagined. He had found friendship, trust, love, and a sense of purpose. And most importantly, he had found someone who mattered more than anything else in the universe. As the sun set over the valley, painting the skies in shades of pink and gold, Jack and Leora stood together, looking at the horizon. Stars began to twinkle in the sky, distant planets shining faintly. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, but for the first time, Jack felt ready. He had Leora by his side, and together they could face anything. "Are you ready for our new life?" Jack asked softly, squeezing her hand. Leora nodded, her glow brightening. "I am. With you, anything is possible." Jack smiled, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. "Then, let's start, together." And so, under the twin moons of a new planet, Jack and Leora began their journey, not just as survivors, but as partners, friends, and perhaps something more. The future was wide and open, filled with promise, adventure, and the quiet thrill of freedom. They had escaped the past, outrun danger, and found each other. And now, the universe was theirs.